On the 9th of October 2020, the Minecraft speedrunning community was forever changed. Popular YouTuber Dream submitted a speedrun for the 1.16 plus random seed 80% glitchless category with a time of 19 minutes and 24 seconds. At the time this run was submitted, it placed Dream at 4th, and the difference between runs above and below him was just mere seconds. However, not long after the run was submitted, players who went through and watched back through his speedruns noticed something. His luck, specifically drop rates of certain key items, just didn't add up. And this right here, a single tweet sparked an almost 2-month-long controversy, one which forever left its mark in internet history. But here's what's most interesting. After many videos analyzing Dream speedruns from notable and reputable YouTubers and players, as well as much back and forth with statistical evidence, Dream still stands against the odds. He managed to convince so many of his innocence and still continues to defy what were seen as objective and mostly unbiased claims of cheating. And while the rest of the internet has likely been convinced, his fan base seemed to disagree. This video is unlike the others. You see, majority of this drama took part in one hectic month, that being December of 2020, and due to this, nobody had the time to really step back and analyze or take in what had just happened. Most of the videos made at the time also focused on the mass, not how the situation had unfolded or how interesting and truly unique it really was. As somebody who became quite invested in the whole ordeal, instead of focusing on the mass, I'm going to tell you about what made this scenario so unique, while also documenting almost every major event that happened, many of which flew under the general radar. So, without further ado, let's begin the story of Dream versus the internet and how it forever left its mark on speedrunning and internet history. To begin, we need to go back to October of 2020, just a normal day for Dream and the Minecraft community. Dream got his speedrun record live while streaming on his Twitch and submitted it on the 10th of October 2020. Then about a week later, on October the 16th, another speedrunner named Minecraft Avenger, who was known for being experienced in Minecraft speedrunning, especially in set seed runs, tweeted out that he had watched through not only Dream's actual speedrun, but his many attempts and had counted and analyzed Dream's trades with piglins. Piglins are important for speedruns because they have a 4.78% chance of giving ender pearls upon a trade, which are needed to go to the end. But due to this, they can also be annoying and run ruining, as the odds are not really in your favor. However, what Minecraft Avenger noticed was that after analyzing all his trades, Dream's trading rates for pearls were far higher than normal. Out of the total of 266 trades, 41 of them were pearl trades, a rate of 15.41%. The speedrun moderators would begin investigating Minecraft Avenger's data, as well as Dream's speedruns, but the entire situation had not yet met the public eye, who most of which didn't even know what was going on. And so, for the most part, things went about as normal for the next few days. However, that would change again about 10 days later, when another Minecraft speedrunner, Shell Guy, would upload a video to his channel, which at the time only had a few hundred subscribers. The video, titled "Did Dream Fake His Minecraft Speedruns? Mathematical Proof," flew under the radar, only getting minimal attention through various Reddit threads and speedrunning discords. Shell Guy utilized a statistical technique called the binomial distribution, which is used to find out the probability of having certain number of successes in a certain number of trials. So for example, it could be used to determine the probability of getting heads 7 times in 10 coin flips. In the case of speedrunning, the number of successes refers to successful ender pearl trades, and the number of trials is the amount of trades Dream completed with piglins. The odds of getting a pearl trade from a piglin are 4.73%, and the number of trades Dream conducted with piglins was 263 according to this dataset. So therefore, the probability of Dream getting 41 pearl trades from 263 total trades was calculated to be, well, this number, or roughly 1 in 40 billion. Such absurd odds are considered statistically impossible in science due to their absurdly small probability. If everything Shell Guy had done in this video was accurate, then it would almost certainly lead to the conclusion that Dream had cheated. But before we continue, consider subscribing, as only a small percentage of you guys are subbed and it really helps me out. Anyways, as I mentioned, the video didn't get that much attention at first, scraping together maybe a few hundred views. But you see, something else was happening in the speedrunning community around this time. Popular streamers XQC and Forsen were in a fierce battle to see who could get the fastest 1.16 random seed 80% glitchless speedrun time, and had rapidly been getting involved in learning and improving at the game. Their fierce rivalry had attracted many speedrunning fans and also introduced many to the scene, so it wouldn't be surprising that 2 days after Shell Guy's video, a random Twitch viewer would link the video to Forsen, who would then proceed to react to it live on stream in front of tens of thousands of viewers. The video began getting some attention, going from a few hundred views to a few thousand, and YouTube began recommending it. But interestingly, unlike many videos in the past suspecting Dream of cheating, or potentially scripting his videos, the general comments on the video at the time were primarily Twitch viewers who agreed with the evidence presented, rather than an overwhelming amount of Dream fans defending his honor. And it wasn't long until the video managed to get into the tens of thousands of views, and Dream's attention was finally drawn to it. In a comment left by Dream, he states that the video is dumb clickbait, the math is off, it doesn't factor in incredibly small sample sizes, calling the video misleading. That comment was deleted by Dream not long after he posted it. In another comment a bit later, Dream comes back with a longer and more thorough argument, stating the whole situation is intriguing, and that the math in the video is under investigation and shouldn't be taken as evidence against him yet. His main argument against the evidence provided was that it was susceptible to sampling bias, referring to the fact that the data collected of his trades was only from 6 of his 11 speedrunning streams. He later states that increasing the sample size and factoring in unknown trade items which couldn't be determined from watching video footage would reduce the odds to 11% or less. He concludes his comment by stating most people watching the video weren't there for the truth, they were there to bash on him, and he would make a response video after the speedrun mods got the details right. Ouch. Dream did release a 10-page document about a week after the video, mainly reiterating his points about how the data collecting was biased, and also mentioning that there was no reason for him to cheat. One main point Dream mentioned in the conclusion is that there are a lot of people that dislike him in the speedrunning community because of his stance or his attitude, but after that there was mostly radio silence for quite some time, and the original video by Shell Guy garnered 280,000 views as of today, and still flew relatively under the radar for the time. It was brought up here and there, but for the most part there was little drama and things went on as normal. Well, until December 12th, that was. On December 12th, the official speedrun moderator analysis was uploaded by Geosquare, a highly polished and refined video with a 30-page manifesto intended to give the public insight into the investigations the speedrunning team had conducted during the past 2 months. The video was very well made, utilizing visuals and examples to try to explain the relatively advanced mathematical strategies used. Most importantly, however, the video addressed all of Dream's counter-arguments, especially the ones about data bias. The team admitted that the data was biased, but also stated that bias is a part of statistics, and you just need to make sure it's still viable evidence. And they are correct. Statistical techniques were designed to account for bias, as it is mostly impossible to account for all sampling bias in real-world scenarios, but empirical studies in the real world are still considered accurate. The team even stated that they overcorrected for bias, actually favoring Dream. And then something interesting happened. You see, this entire time everybody had been talking about Dream's Pell trade luck, but there is another important luck-based element in speedruns, and that is blaze luck, or how lucky you get with blazers dropping blaze rods. The speedrun team decided to analyze Dream's blaze rod drop rates as well, and found that the chance of him getting the amount of blaze rod drops he did was 1 in 113 billion. And combining the odds of both his blaze and enderpearl luck gave him the statistically impossible odds of 1 in 7.5 trillion. After this video, Dream's 1.16 speedrun was removed from the leaderboards. The video does go into more detail, but you can watch it if you are curious and haven't already. So let's talk about how the video was received now. At first, Dream and his community were not happy. Dream tweeted out that the video was just using his name for views and clickbaiting cheating speedrunning. Just on a side note, I remember how much people compared this tweet to a Trump tweet, as it had many similarities, which was very funny. Anyways, he states that multiple speedrun moderators messaged him believing the verdict was biased and that the video was made purely to get views. And at first glance you can see where Dream is coming from. Geosquare's video could be considered slightly clickbaity. Maybe if you changed the title to Dream Speedrun Discussion instead of Did Dream Fake His Speedruns, it wouldn't have been seen as clickbaity. Anyways, Dream's community rallied behind him, with massive influencers such as Mr. Beast and more supporting him. This kind of behavior from large influencers is actually problematic. You see, many of Dream's fans are relatively young, and in most countries, binomial distributions and the kind of statistics used in the analysis aren't taught until the later years of high school, when students are at least 16. So for the most part, some of Dream's fans may have struggled to understand the maths involved in the investigation and why such odds as 1 in 7 trillion are statistically impossible. So the fact that other large content creators who share a massive overlap in audience with Dream blindly and publicly chose to side with Dream, completely ignoring the evidence provided, only led more young and impressionable fans to also blindly side with him. And I should be clear that when I say side with Dream, I refer purely to siding with his arguments against the speedrunning team. It has nothing to do with liking or disliking him as a person. Anyways, it just seemed that some of these fans could not be convinced their idol had cheated and chose to reject any form of objective evidence at all. And when other large content creators also chose to do similar, it only reaffirmed these fans' beliefs. So it was no surprise that Geosquare's video got quite a lot of hate, with him even turning off monetization for his entire YouTube channel due to people claiming he only made the video for views and money. Dream posted updates about the situation regularly on Twitter, linking his speedrun world, mentioning the response video he was in the process of creating, and even apologizing to the mod team about some things he had said. He would hold his ground on the matter, however, continuing to reassure his audience that he did not cheat, and the video he was making would prove that shortly, even getting in on some of the jokes that had begun to form in the Minecraft community. Tensions remained high for the next few days, with each side of the argument refusing to tolerate the other. Dream's response video was then uploaded about 10 days later, on December the 22nd. In this video, he got a
professor with a PhD that graduated from Harvard, that's actually a practicing astrophysicist that is an expert in statistics and astrostatistics.
This expert, according to Dream, was going to release his analysis no matter what, whether it proved or disproved that Dream was cheating. Now, Dream's video was quite long, so I'm going to try and summarize the main points, but we are also going to talk about the more interesting and overlooked part of the video, and that's how Dream chose to present the information. So let's begin. In the video, one of the first points Dream brings up is that the expert found that the speedrun moderator's math was off. According to the expert, the odds which the team calculated of 1 in 7.5 trillion were off by a long shot, and the actual odds were only around 1 in 10 million. When he mentions how the mod's calculations were inaccurate,
first of all, the math was off by at least 7.4998 trillion, and the original number was 7.5 trillion.
Notice how he never actually said what the improved odds were. Now this can be interpreted differently, but the way I see it is that he was focusing on how inaccurate the mod's calculation was, because the odds his expert calculated were still very extreme. In fact, he never explicitly mentions the newly calculated odds at all in the video, to the point that the first related search which shows up when you Google 7.5 trillion is 7.5 trillion subtract 7.4999 trillion. Anyways, Dream uses an interesting method of displaying how wrong the moderation team was. He utilized gold blocks which each represent the number 10 million to drive home the point of just how wrong the mod team were. Moving on in the video though, he focuses on discussing and trying to display that extremely low events such as a speedrun happen all the time.
In the words of the professor that wrote the document, quote, extremely low probability events happen at random all the time. If you consider, for example, every Minecraft player, then a perfect run, 2 out of 2 Ender Pearl trades and 7 out of 7 Blaze Rod drops probably occurs multiple times an hour.
And the fact that it happened to him is not impossible, but rather it just happens to people and we don't even realize. A statement which Dream included in the video was, any lucky speedrunner chosen because they look lucky will look lucky when compared to other speedrunners. This statement is really powerful because it makes him seem as if he was singled out, and may have reaffirmed many viewers' positions on the speedrun team's bias against him. Dream stated that the way the document was written and the video structure attempted to make him look as guilty as possible, while also making it seem as if all the numbers and formula they used were biased in favor of him, when according to his expert, they weren't at all. Similarly, he talks about how the numbers can be really misleading, using examples such as if the odds of winning the lottery are 1 in 100 million and 100 million people play it, there will be a winner. All these statements here attempt to place uncertainty in the minds of viewers about the data and analysis the moderators conducted, while not really disproving any of it mathematically. Well, not correctly anyways, as we will later discuss. But that's about it for the mathematics and data. For the majority of the second half of the video, discussion shifted to talking more about the speedrunning team. Dream has a fair few points to begin with, stating that Geosquare was wrong about him not providing his mods, and stating that the verification team was disorganized. Not only that, but he mentions that the way Geosquare framed his point about Dream having Fabric API loaded, an API which is required for the use of many Fabric mods, was extremely misleading. And he's right, Fabric API is used by many players, myself included, who have never even attempted to create a mod, but need it for other mods to work. Furthermore, Dream continues to discredit the mod team, mentioning that many members had said disrespectful things about him and his fans, bringing up how they were incredibly unorganized, still debating whether the decision to remove his speedrun was right 10 minutes before the video was published. Once again, Dream is using all this information not so much to defend himself, but more so to cast doubt on the moderation team's proficiency, which therefore strengthens his case as well. Interesting strategy. His overarching point throughout majority of the video was that it lacked an upstanding objectivity, and the mod team was too biased or made too many errors. And while this had truth to it, the extent to which Dream painted it out to be was far more than in actuality. The mods did make some errors and did frame some arguments in a biased way, but at the core of the whole argument there was still a lengthy 30-page, mostly objective analysis with each step clearly broken down. I think that Dream's response video was kind of manipulative, in that it intended to cast much doubt upon the moderation team's abilities, rather than to prove their various evidence wrong. And furthermore, even the math was called into questionability, only hours later. You see, throughout this whole process, the actual identity of the so-called expert was never provided. It's pretty common practice for academics or professionals to provide name and accreditations on such research, so it was very unusual that he didn't. It became a bit more plausible when people on Reddit discovered that Dream had used an online science consulting company known as Photo Excitation, where supposedly with all their activities, their policy is that the exact identity of the author will not be revealed. Understandable. Nevertheless, even with the website's policies, doubt was still placed in the minds of many, especially when after more investigation, Redditors found that the website was very much unknown, with low site visits and a tiny Twitter following. And this doubt was only amplified when a well-renowned particle physicist with a PhD in physics going by MFB, who was active and well-respected in many large subreddits such as r/statistics and r/science, came out with this comment. This mini essay of a Reddit comment went through many of Dream's rebuttals and pointed out issues made by the so-called expert. Now, you can read the comment for yourself if you're curious, as it's long, but to summarize, he pointed out many amateur mistakes in the expert's report, which made many question the qualifications of the supposed author with a PhD. The math gets relatively detailed, but he concludes that he believes the original analysis by the mods is fine, and that the amount of errors the supposed expert made led him to believe that either the supposed expert was intentionally biased or is totally clueless, with his application of concepts being misapplied. And word spread around Reddit and the Minecraft community, with many threads being made discussing the drama, and general consensus seemed to favor arguments against Dream. Just hours after Dream's anticipated rebuttal, and it had already been torn apart and questioned by some Redditors of all people. The moderation team would also release their rebuttal in the final days of December, concluding that the expert Dream hired was mixing up statistical techniques, leading to an uninterpretable final result. The team also stated, like MFB, that the methods were applied incorrectly and that the decision remains. So it seems as if majority of the general Minecraft community that had a grasp of the techniques and maths used agreed that Dream's rebuttal was mostly invalid. Now, Dream's expert would respond a few days later, mostly disagreeing with the speedrun team's response, but actually concluding that he re-evaluated the odds from 1 in 10 million to 1 in 100 million. He also stated that the probabilities were almost certainly modified, providing very strong evidence that Dream cheated. And with this final tweet, Dream decided that it would be the last time he mentions a scenario, accepting the speedrun's removal and wanting to put it in his past. He even went as far as to removing his original rebuttal video from his channel, stating he doesn't want new viewers to see it as it doesn't represent the content he wants to make. And so the drama began to die down. Other prominent figures such as Carl Jobs created their own videos analyzing the data, coming to similar conclusions that Dream did in fact cheat.
Given all of the available facts, I believe the only reasonable conclusion is that Dream was playing on a version of Minecraft that had been altered in order to give himself an unfair advantage. The how and why are something that likely can never be answered definitively.
In Ant Venom's video on the matter, he makes a great point about Dream's behavior and motives.
I don't care if he modified his game files to give himself better luck in a speedrun, even a live streamed one. What I care about is that he then submitted that run to the Minecraft speedrun.com leaderboards, the official leaderboard where people go to show off their legitimate Minecraft speedrun accomplishments done legitimately. He spat in the face of 500 other hardworking individuals who legitimately worked for their accomplishments, who went through the turmoil of resetting run after run in order to eke out another personal best.
Dream's fans' opinions remain largely unchanged, with most of them still blindly supporting Dream, whether he cheated or not. And for the most part, Dream has put the whole situation behind him. To this day, he still says that he did not cheat. Nevertheless, the whole ordeal will not be forgotten, and it's common to see people in Twitch chats, Reddit comments, Twitter threads make jokes about the situation, whether they call insane events Dream luck or just meme the 1 in 7.5 trillion odds in the Twitch chat whenever something lucky happens in a speedrun. And this whole story will forever go down as the biggest drama in speedrunning history. I hope you enjoyed today's video, as I believe that providing the perspective of an outsider who followed the whole ordeal closely would be interesting, rather than just focusing on the math like many other videos already did. The entire scenario was just so interesting to me, and I knew it obviously was to many of you as well. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing, it really helps me out, and also join my new Minecraft server. We have brought back many OG game modes, links and IPs in the description. As always, follow me on Twitter and join the Discord. Thank you all so much for watching.